Hi, everybody, and welcome, Ollie, to the Money Boy show. You've now been betting for almost 4 weeks,
Yeah,
which is what we wanted to do, and the whole aim of the show is to promote responsible gambling and teach people how to make money
for
out
sure.
of gambling. Tell us how last week. Tell me how you did last week.
Last week was definitely the most excited I've sort of felt coming off a weekend. It's the most money I've made. It is the most money
At
I've
your
put
age,
down. But
betting,
yeah.
that's the most excited you felt coming off a weekend.
Most excited betting weekend.
Okay,
Most
sorry.
excited betting
Yeah,
weekend.
okay.
Like I said, most money I've made, most money I've put down as well. But I think I only got one call wrong, which was Bongi. I put Bongi to score in the Japanese match because I assumed there'd be a rolling maul try.
Do you remember what
least.
odds he was?
I think it was 2.5. Yeah, I put down 100 rand to win back 250. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
100
right.
for
So you
250. Yeah.
if you put 100 rand down, you'd have got the 250 plus your one. That would be 350 back. Yeah.
So that's the sort of put down, but unfortunately that wouldn't come off. But
So that would be the anytime score for him to score at any time.
Anytime during the match, just one try.
Yeah. That's a good bet.
Yeah, I mean, I figured it was. He's been scoring a lot for the Bucks. So
Yeah.
But we spoke at the start of the show about how we wanted to put money on all the different accounts, just get a proper feel for all of them.
Yeah.
So this weekend I finished off in terms of actually putting money across all the accounts, put the same bet on 4 of them, which was to the Bucks to cover that 14.5 spread, and won back the money on all of that. So I was really stoked with that.
That to me was the bet of the year.
100%. Yeah, I even played around a bit more with the 20.5
Yeah.
points and won back really nicely on that too.
Good for you.
What was exciting too was, and I mean, Sporting Bets has been my favorite website so far by a mile. And I played around with some running bets on their site in the All Black Island game. So I picked the All Blacks to win, made the cash back on that, but then also played around with stuff like All Blacks to win the first interval, 40 to 49 minutes.
Now, Sporting Bet, that you've made it look. It's obviously you're getting the grasp of this thing pretty quickly, which is great because with discipline and knowing your sports and doing research, you can make money. I mean,
no, for sure.
And it's all about making the right bet. So what people have a hard time grasping is that when they make a bet, and I think you said to me,
I sent you a message.
What did you say to me?
I wish I'd bet more. They pummeled them, but
what did I say to you?
That's the worst kind of way to approach betting.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to be happy, which is so true.
Yeah.
It's like you've actually got to look at it. And we spoke about it in the show last week where you said even if your bet doesn't come off, you need to still feel that you've made the right bet.
Yeah.
So that was a case of my bet coming off and then feeling, I've made the wrong bet, which is actually the biggest contradiction.
Exactly. And the methodology is simply this. If you've done the research and the stats, and stats don't lie. They usually paint a picture.
Yeah.
So what people don't understand is that my betting I get about 62% strike rate.
Yeah.
Which means I'm going to get 38 wrong out of 100. Now I'm still going to get 38 wrong, but even every bet that I think I've made
comes with the nature of the game, though.
Yeah. No stock trader, nobody that runs a hedge fund or manages any sort of investment portfolio. They don't just see things go up and up and up and up.
Yeah.
They just stick to their dogmatic approach to analyzing the data and making calls.
Yeah.
And they make the right calls based on the information in front of them. And when you lose, you just move on. It's the people that chase and the people that up their bets to try and catch the bets that they've lost that fall foul of gambling. So if you have a
I feel like you can never try to cover your bets. You've just got to, live with the sort of outcome.
If you're chasing, you're never going to catch.
Yeah.
Never.
For
so
sure.
You always want to be not making bets just for the sake of making bets because you want that adrenaline rush. You want that serotonin release. You want to be.
And it's so easy too. Especially with them on with apps on your phone. Like for the sites you can just. Put that bet down without even thinking.
Every betting company says they promote responsible gambling. Bullshit.
Yeah.
None of them promote responsible gambling because the way they make money is through irresponsible gambling.
Yeah.
And so the reason that the reason that they make money is because people aren't good gamblers.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't make the right bet every once in a while. It's just they have to bet all the time.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
casinos wouldn't be in business if people weren't stupid. So what we try to teach is a bit of calmness and a bit of doing research. Now, talk through these. So we're at the stage now where we want to allow you to bet more because you've had a successful month.
Yeah.
We're now going to track you from
Yeah.
this week going
Mm.
forward, and you've played across eight
Eight
sites.
websites,
So
yeah.
you've seen them all. I've also dipped into your sites
You
and
said you enjoyed the 3 that you...
yeah, we'll talk about that just in a second. But I'm more interested in what your selection is.
Yeah.
Tell me now. What we're going to do is you're going to transfer funds from 5 of them into the other 3. Is that right, or what do you?
I was thinking, so I think there's been three ones that have stood out for me:
Yeah.
Betway, Sporting Bet, and Sunbet.
Why?
I found them.
So it's which ones again?
Betway,
Betway,
Sporting Bet,
Sporting Bet,
Sunbet.
Sunbet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just all as trivial as it sounds, just great interface, looks nice. Which is, I think, is a huge thing when you're coming into the betting world. We spoke about it before. It's like there's just numbers and sports and graphics and ads everywhere, and it's like you actually just want it simplified as much as
Yeah.
possible. And it's a very nice, like, simple, user-friendly interface on all 3 of those sites. They were quick with, their helplines were good and stuff when I had a problem. Quick
Yeah.
with the deposit bonuses.
There's a lot of nervousness.
There is a lot of nervousness.
When bets aren't paid out immediately, right?
We spoke about that whole trust fact, and that was the unfortunate thing this weekend over
World
WSB.
Sports Betting.
Yeah, that you said that's the site you've used most.
Yeah.
What I find appealing about them, and the reason that I think we're going to take it from 4 into 4, is just because they give you such a huge deposit bonus. They match
Yeah.
I deposited $5,000 initially into all of the accounts.
Yeah.
World Sports Betting is the only one that matched my $5,000,
Yeah.
and they give it to you in free bets, and they use your free bets without dipping into any of your own money. They don't
Yeah.
even give you the option the first time. It's just, we're going to use up all your free bets once you've washed that through.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
then it's yours.
Look
But
at
it
you,
was-
washed it through. You're talking like a gambler.
It's funny, yeah. I was chatting to my mom and just trying to explain to her like how it made them. It seemed like very simple concepts that she wasn't grasping. And then I thought back to like our first show, where I had to go watch your video on handicapping before we actually had the show because I was a bit nervous that I wouldn't really know what was going on. And it seemed that it is a tough concept to grasp, but then once you get it, it clicks, and it's kind of...
It's over. Look, it looks at what institutions, and we've talked about this in the past. The naivety in the South African market, or the lack of
For sure.
sophistication, let's call it that. Yeah, and what we try and do is simplify that. And when you look at it, it can be such an overwhelming thing to people that they think, but it's quite simple.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk through a couple of bets later, and we're going to talk about the handicapping again.
Just, in terms of just back to WSB, and you spoke about like bets paying out and the nervousness and stuff, they were really good. But what I enjoyed about the other 3 that I mentioned was it's your bet, everything's kept in your bet slip. You don't have to go and look at like account transactions.
Yeah.
WSB doesn't keep stuff in a bet slip from my experience this weekend. It sends
You're
it,
quite right.
yeah, it sends it straight off to pending transactions. So you're also almost just like,
Yeah,
has my bet been
you've got to
placed
be
or not?
clicking in and out of
Yeah.
yeah.
Then then I called. I thought I'd called Wales to beat France, but apparently, according to them, I hadn't. So, but there's no way to actually go and check exactly what you clicked on. So I'm just assuming that I clicked on the wrong.
Yeah,
wrong score,
and
which can
that's
happen.
my biggest criticism with WSB. Look, I
Yeah.
like them. They've always been the loyalty vouchers. They've always you can send them a message. So for me, I've always liked them. But their system went down on Saturday, and they had some real problems.
They didn't pay out my England bet either. Called them on the Saturday, said it would be done in the next few hours. Had to call them again on the Monday and say, okay.
Their system went down. I mean, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're a reputable company, and they have a good range of betting.
That's the other thing is they had the biggest range. But again, it's in terms of like accessing that range. It's like.
You know who has a better range for me, which when playing around on your stuff was Sporting Bet.
They've got Sporting Bet is a great, and the thing is, they make it so easy to access that range. It's the other games, you click on that drop down thing.
Yeah.
Here are all your options, and like again, as silly as it sounds, if it looks easier to place those bets, you're way more inclined to place them. With WSB, it's almost like felt like a little bit like you had to go search for those extra bets.
Now, you know that we don't get paid by any betting company. I don't get anything from a betting company.
We've put equal money into all of them at the moment still, so there's no...
So who are the four? Let's say, tell us now, tell your young audience who the top four are.
So for me, number one, sporting bet at the moment. I'd say Sunbet and Betway are pretty on par.
Yeah.
And I have really enjoyed this is my first weekend playing with WSB, and I did really enjoy it. And I like the fact that they're upfront in terms of matching you with what you put in. If you're putting in a big amount, they're giving you a big amount back. There's nothing that they're really withholding from you. And they were easily, the thing is, while their systems were down and everything, I called them, they were helpful. I sent them an email, they responded within, the next hour on Monday, and they paid out all my stuff. So, those are the four that I want to keep it in. I didn't really enjoy the other ones, not so much because they're necessarily bad, just because I thought the four that I've mentioned were really good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I playing on them, and I played on all of them, and it's for me, it's still WSB that I prefer.
Yeah.
Sporting Bet and Betway.
Yeah.
Those are the three that I'll be playing in regularly now.
Yeah.
The other ones, just not for me.
What I did enjoy about when we initially started, and I was like, I'm going to be playing on 8 accounts, it's a bit intimidating, still actually not knowing how to bet back then. I thought, like, what's the purpose in having more than one account? Then I actually realized during the Irish game, I wanted to place bets during the game, because I was like, I can see how this is folding out, and I'm not happy with having just placed money on a New Zealand win, because that was the other one that I did, was over 44.5 points. I bet at about 50 minutes, I think. And then it was just over, what would the total points have been?
Which game?
Ireland, New Zealand, I think. What was the end score? 44...
44-12 or so, 46-12.
Yeah, something like that. So it was over 44.5 points.
Yeah.
But what I enjoyed was, like, Sporting Bet locked out their running bet on something at some stage, but then Sunbet hadn't locked it out yet. So it's like that's the usefulness in having those different accounts, is you can actually be like, okay, cool, I've got this bet, I can't place it here. Let me go place it there, and it's nice to be able to actually, once you start understanding it, switch between the three and see where you can get the best value.
Yeah.
Even with the differing odds, it's like they're going to give you higher odds on the same bet.
Yeah.
It's just knowing your websites, I guess.
Okay. Well, you haven't quite earned the lad status yet. You're still money boy.
Not quite. No, yeah.
Well, you kick off this week, and I think one of your fans said, Money Lad's such a better game, a better name, and I said, well, it's Money Boy, and you don't get a ribbon for participation. You got to earn it. So you start off now, and now you're feeling pretty confident. Now you start.
Good, yeah.
Let's talk about where do you do your research?
The rugby at the moment, I'm lucky enough to actually come in and chat to you guys, chat to James on the phone every Monday following the weekend.
Well, James is never short of an opinion.
Never short of an opinion. He gives you food for thought as well.
Yeah.
And on his columns, people are either heavily agreeing with him or heavily disagreeing. So you can see a trend,
He's the pugilistic Howard Stern of rugby.
Yeah. But and then my dad obviously, when I get to chat to him, also good insight. And then your guys' show. I mean, you did just the one on Monday. Really nice, just review of the quarterfinals and stuff, and often interesting.
Look,
stats.
Your dad's the most knowledgeable guy in rugby in the country. Sorry.
Yeah.
For anybody,
no,
all the trolls out there, he is. He is the most knowledgeable guy, and also an incredibly articulate man. So he knows his rugby.
No, he does, and he knows his stats, and he doesn't manipulate them. I don't think, which is
something other journalists could learn to do. Is maybe some statistical research, because there's nobody that does more research than your dad when it comes to stats.
It's just retaining that.
Yeah.
But,
so you're very lucky to have access to.
Very lucky to. Yeah, in terms of the rugby world, it's just I've been kind of raised, with good opinion around me, and I've been able to form quite a good opinion of the game myself, I think, and I could see the value in that this weekend as I look at my betting on soccer, and I've been placing much smaller bets on soccer than on rugby, but I've lost so much more on soccer because I'm not familiar with the game. So I've been looking, it's like I go and I Google.
Well, it's a game played by 11 men on both sides. And then
apparently so. But,
well, I jest, but soccer is a tougher sport to make
but it's tempting too, because the odds are so...
No, what the tempting thing is, Ollie, and I'm just to go back to this, is you're seeing something and you want to try and this is what the mistake that all people that are bad gamblers make. They always feel like they've got to be in the action. Yeah. So the game's going on, I got to have a bet.
That's true.
And when you do that and you haven't done the research, I mean, if anybody, on a typical Saturday, when I wake up look at. I have an idea of what sports are going on, and then I've got 15 to 20 different tabs open on my computer, just going through and doing research and just picking up something. And you can ask any question to Google; it pretty much answers every question in the world. You know, why Tottenham having difficulty? Why, you know, and someone will always tell you what's going wrong with things. There's enough of that.
You can always look for the answer you want too, I think.
Yes,
from Google,
of course.
You're going to find a site that's backing your sort of inclination.
Well, what I do a lot is I'll go to the site of the local. So if it's a Kansas City football game, I'll go and see what the Kansas City press are saying about the game.
Yeah.
You know, and then get an idea of what the other press is saying locally, because you get a bit more balance then. Biased balance.
You're getting the two subjective sort of.
Well, if you've come across a site that's local and they're all saying there's no chance. Yeah. Because usually most people do a bit of home cooking and they want to back their home side. So I do, I read a lot of articles, listen to podcasts. Yeah. I'll share a lot of sites that I use with you next week, and the research that I do. There's corners, how teams go up and attack up the left, right, what percentage up the middle. There's so many stats that you would numb your mind. Yeah. And that's, you're still just starting to...
That's where also having, I think, a grasp of the game comes in handy, is like knowing which stats actually matter more than other ones, you know? It's like I can look at rugby stats and be like, okay, that's not actually going to play such a huge role in this game, but I look at the soccer stats and it's a little bit,
Yeah, and rugby's never been a statistically dominated sport, It's a relatively new phenomenon with the likes of Opta and those companies that have come in. And giving it the stats, and I think the rugby become a lot more talking points from stats. Like to me, some of the stats that are overlooked are how many meters do people gain in a rugby game. Yeah. Which is quite telling sometimes.
Can you bet on that too?
Well, no, you can bet on that in the NFL in terms of passing yards and rushing yards. But it's something that hasn't taken off in rugby.
Again, you talk about the difference in quality of betting sites, even, like overseas compared to here. But I guess that also comes with...
No, well, you say overseas. The best betting site in the world is betfair.com. Yeah. But you can't, we can't access it, and I can't bet on it because it's not licensed. Yeah. I would love to. By far the best. Puts everything here to shame. But we don't have it, so let's
schooling myself, hopefully. Yeah. We'll move on to Betfair one day.
Yeah, maybe, and I wish I could bet on it. But let's chat about the rugby and what you're going to do this weekend, because you must have an idea of what you're going to do.
Yeah, so I mean, I think both the games are handicapped at 7.5. So it's New Zealand minus 7.5. Box minus 7.5. I think
Box are minus 8.5.
Box minus 8.5. Yeah. I don't think they're going to win by more than 5.
Well,
why? The history of the sort of games and the kind of the nature of the match. It's very much, I think, like Springboks Wales for me is always kind of how Springbok England have been in terms of two like physically dominant sides and two sides that are very, you can see there's a very clear plan in place when it comes to kicking for territory and the linking of their backline players, because neither team has that natural backline instinct of like New Zealand or even in Australia, like in Australia's backs could still fire on certain days. It's like, so there's a lot more of a structured game plan. So I feel like both Wales and South Africa's approach, both got strong packs, both have great coaches at the moment. I think it's just going to be a scrap, and pretty much there's going to be that one moment in the game for each of them where someone scores, and it's going to come down to penalties, I think. So I think it'll be around like a 22-18 to the Box, or maybe like a 17-12 to the Box kind of match. I don't think it's going to get higher than sort of 25 points to the one side. So nice. I'm going to adjust the odds on, I showed you the sliding scale early on Sunbet. Yeah,
that's quite a nifty feature, yeah.
Yeah, you can just sort of adjust those odds there. I think I'm going to adjust it a bit and then just bet on the Box. And then, England, New Zealand, you made an interesting point about saying if you feel that it's a 50-50 and you want to put money on it, go for the one with the better odds.
Yeah, well, what are the odds on England straight out? I think
it's one...
Let's have a look, sorry.
1.9 England, 1.8 New Zealand.
But that's with the handicap, right?
That's with the handicap,
So you're talking about handicap. And Sorry, folks. Yeah, so you can get, for every 100 rand you lay down on England, straight up now, meaning they've got to win the game. By any
Without
amount.
handicaps, okay.
Yeah, you'll get, for every 100 rand you put down, you get 230 rand back, plus your 100.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. And New Zealand, what are they at?
4 to 10, so you get a 40% return on your investment. Which is,
Are you going to be betting handicaps and outrights this weekend, or?
probably a bit of both. But
Yeah.
I mean, anytime I say, I would toss a coin right now between England and New Zealand. If I can get a 230% return
Yeah.
for a head, I'm going to bet it
You're
every
gonna
time. Even if I lose 17 in a row, I've made the right bets.
Yeah.
That's what
Exactly.
people don't get through their heads. It's if you're making the right bets, the laws of average
Yeah.
will it'll even out, and you'll make money. You got to be consistent in your approach,
You can't get
methodical
deterred
in your
by-
research, and consistent and disciplined in the amounts that you bet.
Yeah.
You don't up and up and up and up, because
It's
I
like
put
you
10
said, even if you think they've got the odds wrong, don't go and put, all your money on it because
No,
you
'cause
think
it's
it's the wrong
gambling.
call. Because it's still gambling.
Yeah.
You can still,
As is the stock market, as is investments, as is anything, as is real estate market.
Yeah.
We live in a world where we're just inundated with information, and you've got to separate yourself from the noise and do the research.
Yeah.
And like I was telling you in one episode, that the average CEO reads 52 books a year. The average person, I don't know what the average
Yeah.
person reads.
How much is the average better reading? Just in articles per day,
Exactly. And it's like, if I don't put 3 hours per day into
Yeah.
reading, because I've got an interest and a passion for it. You're never working if you've got a passion.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Are you going to be putting, just sort of back to the weekend's games,
Yeah.
any money on cards
no.
in either of the games?
No,
You don't think
no,
Jerome
because I think
Gosses-
after what I witnessed last weekend with Wayne Barnes not going to
Yeah.
the TMO, I've got a feeling that the directive coming down is you're gonna have to decapitate somebody to get sent off, or elbow somebody to the head like
Yeah.
the French guy did.
I just think I'm definitely not going to put any on England, New Zealand, because if you look at, do you remember when Nigel Owens ref, just after Jerome Gosses ref that rugby championship game where he sent Bismarck off for
Yeah.
the red card? Nigel Owens ref the next game between the Boks and the All Blacks, and you could see that he didn't want to send people off, so he spent the whole game almost trying to ease the kind of tensions, and penalties were given and stuff, but they weren't cards. Nigel Owens doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that in a semi-final, England, New Zealand is going to let a card determine it. And I hate to go at like Jerome Gosses, it's not necessarily going at him, I think it could go either way, Wales or South Africa, but he's the kind of guy that will kind of let everything go until all of a sudden, boom, pulls out a card,
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what the
I'm thinking...
what the referees and the TMOs have been told, because it seems they want to take a bit of the TMOs out of the
Yeah.
game and let them play, which is against everything that they've been doing in the
Gosses
tournament.
he refed England, Australia here.
I have no idea.
I think it was him, but right at the end when Australia scored that breakaway sort of consolation, and then the TMO said he went upstairs and he said, "Can you show me if there's a forward pass?" And the TMO said, "Oh, no clear forward pass." Jerome Gosses says, "Clear in my eyes, forward pass." It's like, why'd you even go upstairs?
No, didn't he say there was no?
No, so the
Oh, no.
TMO said it wasn't clear.
Indeed, you're right.
Yeah.
And it was a forward pass.
It was a forward pass, so
Yes.
right call, but it was just funny in the way that he went upstairs and then
Well-
just negated the TMO's sort of...
Ollie, we're so fixated on negativity with Garces, and I was chatting to your pops earlier on, and his thing was that maybe we should focus on the things that we're getting carded
Very
for
true.
or penalized for. But because when you're emotionally attached to a game, the only thing you're ever going to see is, I heard every French person thought that ball at the end of the game went forward. Now,
Yeah.
I've watched that thing dispassionately, uninvested from the game. I've watched the highlights. It wasn't it didn't go forward. It went
Yeah.
straight up.
Yeah.
And that was a great call. And the angle of the overhead camera caught it, that it went straight up. So, but I bet you every French person that's vested in rugby thought that was 1.5 meters forward.
Yeah.
So we exaggerate. Our brain plays tricks on us sometimes. So let's get down to the betting. So we've.
So if
What are you going to put on? What are you putting down?
So I want to put, I think England are going to win. I think on the slight chance that New Zealand do win, I don't think it's going to be by more than a score. So where that comes in, because at the moment I've actually only been betting on the minus handicaps, because all the bets that I've put down, I thought that team's going to beat them by more than, the handicap they've given. So for this weekend, do I then put, you said it was 8.5, England, New Zealand?
No, I said 8.5, Wales.
Wales, so 7.5, New Zealand, England. Do I then put the plus 7.5, England? So,
Yes, because you're saying that you think England
they're
are
not
going to
going to
win.
lose by more than...
You want a conservative bet. So you think England are going to win. But you just, it could go either way, right? A coin toss. So as long as England win, or the match ends in a draw after 80 minutes, or they don't lose by eight or more points, you win your bet. It's that simple.
Okay.
So
cool.
you're doing what they would say in betting parlance is taking the points.
Taking the points.
Yeah.
Okay.
Plus 8. You're taking the plus 8, plus 7.5 on England. So they start the game at plus 7.5 on the scoreboard. New Zealand start at 0.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to take for England. And then, like I said, with the box, I'm going to edit that handicap
During the game. Yeah.
During the game, bet on the box to win.
Okay.
Not by more than a score. I don't think. I'd say 20-18. That's what I'm going to.
It's a tough call, there.
It is tough because it's also one you don't actually know. Wales Springboks, especially with the history of it, it's not as simple as it used to be, in terms of. Yeah.
It's not an easy call. I'm gonna be putting down 5,000 rand that the Boks win by 5 or more points.
Okay.
And that'll pay back. That'll pay back about 8,000 rand.
Okay.
And on England, I'm going to take 1,000 rand to pay back 3,300. That England win outright, and then I'm also going to put down 5,000 that England with the plus 7.
Okay.
To win back 9,500.
And those are the sort of only. Are you going to be doing any running bets in the game?
Of course, but I can't advise people. No, I can't advise people on in running betting until I own a media conglomerate. And
you can't lose this weekend with Springboks Wales though, because you can lose money, but
you mean emotionally?
Emotionally, your team's through to.
You see it that way. I see it that I can't win.
Can't win.
Because Wales. I believe Wales are going to lose, and I think they're going to lose by double digits. Yeah. We just don't have we just don't have it.
Yeah.
And our World Cup, in a way, was the Six Nations, and we've shot our bolt. And we've played 4 more Test matches than South Africa this year. Yeah. And I can just see that the tank seems empty.
Yeah.
We can't front up physically, and this is going to be a physically imposing game.
Yeah.
And this is the first time that Rassie is going to galvanize. He's now had a good time to work with this team. They're a talented bunch. Cheslin being injured is a big. Yeah, I'd feel a lot better with him in there.
Yeah, but I think just for people, what's also underrated, I think, is his work under the high ball. Like, people talk about his defensive organization, his twinkle feet, but Nkosi, as much as I like Nkosi, and I would have from the start of the tournament been playing Nkosi on the wing with Cheslin at fullback. He doesn't offer that same high ball security, and Mapimpi doesn't offer it.
Well, I would argue, Ollie, that Cheslin Colby is a strong candidate for IRB Rugby Player of the World.
Oh, for sure.
To me,
player of the tournament so far, I'd say.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, but you can always make an argument. Johnny Mays had a good tournament. A lot of guys to put up there, but he's got that X factor.
Completely.
He can.
I think what's so telling about him as well is that there's not a very evident weakness in his game. Like, a lot of players like him, it's like they're brilliant on they're putting through grubbers, stepping and stuff, but it's like they're defensively weak, or they put in their hits, but they've got no idea organizationally where to be on defense. You can see that everything he's doing is with intent, and he's executing it properly. Well,
he's just playing at a higher level. He sees the game at a different level, and he's just an incredibly good rugby player. I don't see any weaknesses in the game. Yeah. So for me, that's a bit of a worry. But I just don't think that the Wales will front up physically.
I don't think they've got it in them to win. I think it could be tight, and they could push the box, but I don't think.
Look, we'll win the anthem. I mean, the Welsh will sing. With that Japanese video of the Japanese learning the South African anthem, maybe not in the stadium, but in every pub in Wales and every Hill and Dale. I mean, I would love to be in Wales this weekend.
Yeah.
To be there, because I can't help it. It's in my DNA. I'm going to have to cheer for Wales. But may the best team win, and it'll be and shake hands and let's just enjoy the occasion.
And I'm also excited because obviously we'll be narrowing down to the 4 sites for this weekend. Gives me a bit more money to actually play with in terms of putting those bets down. You know, and you're always gonna, obviously the return's gonna be bigger the more you're putting down. So,
or the more you could be losing.
The more you could be losing, but I
might have sent you back to kindergarten if you've had a bad month.
Hopefully not. What happens to the Money Boy title then?
Money child?
Yeah. Well, ask the people on Facebook.
Yeah, we'll throw it up. But look, if you get a following and you start advising, it doesn't. They won't be short of words. I promise you. Yeah. Anyway.
Make sure it's going well.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in, Ollie, and look forward to next week.
Always, Kev.
Cheers, bye.